interrupted again. Now, I'm not even connected to the internet. I don't understand why, but it keeps happening. So I've got a new tool coming in. I'm waiting for it. It's Pixel from Google. I wouldn't have bought it. It's just like I wouldn't have signed up to Daily Wire if it weren't for Dr. Jordan, Matt Walsh's, Ben Shapiro, although Reuben, I love Reuben. Wait a second. Reuben's married to a man. Isn't that weird? Why do I respect this man? I'm not supposed to. I'm one of those old ladies that hate gay people. I love gay people. I just don't like the crazy people that are trying to expose sexual contents to children. That's disgusting, you idiots. Fools. Do you know what I saw the other day on Twitter? Now, excuse me. How dare they call my mass adult content on YouTube? St. Michael's Basilica Mass with the beautiful, beautiful priests and people that, with the wonderful homilies. I mean, the things that they say are true and beautiful. They're not judgmental. Watch it. Watch it once. You'll see what I'm talking about. All those beautiful, brave young priests who are going into priesthood. I mean, tell you what, these are guys that are brave and got courage up the wazoo. I don't care what their sexual predilections are, because you know why I don't care? As a Catholic woman who's had children who have been abused in many ways, every way possible. As someone who's been abused every way possible. As a child of people who have been abused every way possible. So, just so you know, the priesthood, it doesn't care what your sexual indications are, what you want sexually, because part of the oath and the vow you take is to set yourself apart from sexual desire. Try to suppress that. And offer it up to God. And if, God forbid, you make a mistake with another adult, well, it's another adult. If you're doing it with a child, well, then more power to you. Let's put you in jail and throw away the key, because apparently that's the kind of sexual desire that can't be cured, but the children that they want are victims of horrific nonsense. So if you happen to be one of those people who can only be gratified sexually by a child, go get help and take a vow never to do that, because it's evil. Evil! And I don't care who you are. If you're normal, you can say, yeah, that's fucking evil. Excuse my language, but it's true. I don't talk like any Catholic, you know, either. I'm not a saint yet. I'm working my way. But I believe that there's a language out there that wants to be changed, right? And I know that there's an awful lot of really good church-going Catholics. Wonderful people, wonderful people. They go to church every day. They receive the sacraments every day. God bless them. I wish I could do it. If I could do that. If I could just do that. That's for you, Joes and Joes. I want you guys to be in on this, because... And Bug Hall. And you know who you are, because I've reached out to you a couple of times on Patreon. So there's Patreon. And I know somebody else. There's Bishop Robert Barron. Archbishop? Is he an archbishop now, or is he a cardinal yet? I don't know. He's wonderful. He's taken a lot of hits because he's very, very liberal-minded. But you can be liberal-minded, but you just can't change the rules of the church, babe. That's all I'm saying. The church has always had these rules because they're the rules that we need. A priest can't have a wife. Having a wife stopped misconduct for men. Well, I can line up. I don't think there's a woman out there that can't tell you at least 10 men that they know that haven't made that vow to them in some way, shape, or form and skirted it. So marriage isn't the answer. Women certainly aren't the answer. Women are smart. Women are powerful, too powerful on their own without becoming a priest. Priest is married to the church. And that's the reason they cannot be married to anything else. Because my husband, I love him. But he's been absent since 1996, pursuing his life. And he convinced me up until about 5 years ago that he was doing it for us. I'm sorry, Gerald, but I'm going to do this. Because you don't listen. And you're a bully. And we went to that wonderful marriage course called Retrovai. And it was then I realized my marriage was doomed. And you're not supposed to realize that at Retrovai. Because that's when I knew you didn't love me. I was a convenience. I've always been a convenience, and I'm okay with that. Because I love you. And I could never float anybody. Man, woman, partner, whatever. Like I love you. You are my lobster. You are my lobster. And there's nobody else that's my lobster. And Dr. Jordan Peterson, I wonder if that's the reason why you have those lobsters. I wonder. I should ask you if I ever get the honor it is to be a woman meeting a man like you. Because you are a man. In every way, shape, or form. But you're more than just a man. You are a man and a scholar. So, Matt Walsh is a man. Ben Shapiro is a man. Rubin's a man. I don't know. Dave Rubin? Is that your first name, Dave? Anyway, congratulations, by the way, on the babies. Oh, my goodness. Just remember, men tend to be... I used to say this, and my husband used to laugh. Children, babies, toddlers, anybody under the age of 5 should never be left alone with a man. Not for any other reason than men don't seem to see the dangers that a woman says. Because my brother-in-law, he was wonderful, and he adores children. He's the next brother-in-law now. But he was magnificent with boys, especially, and he had 2 beautiful boys. Anyway, the problem with him was on his watch, those boys suffered some catastrophic accidents, broken arms. You know, one. It's a horrible thing. My beautiful boy that I stole for this baby, I actually did steal him from his mother, my sister, because I wanted a baby so bad. I could taste it, and I was being told I'm not allowed to have babies. Not the way I wanted to. I wanted to start when I was young, and I wanted to have as many God was going to give me, and I couldn't. For many reasons, part of which was my physical health. But, Anyway, that's a story for another day. I do go off in tangents. I don't know why that is. It might be. Now I know it's not because I'm crazy. It's because I'm enduring probably whatever that those spots on my brain are doing to my train of thought. It's been very difficult to keep focused on one thing these days, and that's, I don't know if that's part of the disease process or not, or I hope it's not life-threatening. If it is, it is, but if it's not, it's not. The point is, I've discovered that I have all these spots and that it's not really normal because I like to research shit. Doesn't scare me. I like to know. And the reason I like to know my own health is because I can no longer trust a doctor. Not because the doctor is a bad person, because the government won't let them treat some things, right? Like, for example, if a doctor wants to run a diagnostic, I had a friend who left in the 90s. He was a very close friend, and he's the reason why I didn't have to get butchered when I was still enduring my childbearing years, because I went to him crying because I needed to ask for a sterilization because I was told I was never going to get married. I wasn't allowed to have any more children, even if God said I could. And I didn't want to do that. But I was willing to go alter my body because of it. Yikes. And this beautiful doctor said to me, well, if you don't want to do it, why are you here? And he had 7 kids of his own. So I didn't have any exposure to a man who was willing to welcome children. So it took me by surprise that he would say that, because that's what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to fix myself and live with the fact that I'm not allowed to have any more children, even though I wanted more. But anyway, point was, that's the other side, birth control. That's the other side of this freedom of choice that women are supposed to be having, right? There's an opposite. My book title, I'm going to go through Dr. Jordan's writing course eventually once I get my new tablet in from Google. It's a Pixel. My hope is that Elon Musk has some way, because I had to pre-order it and pay money for it, Gerald. And I paid our money for it because you told me I could do what I could do. I could spend money on the things that I needed to spend money on in order to try to make some money for you many years ago. And it was fine while I was making the money, but the stock market, I'm sorry, turned to shit. And my ethical things that I felt comfortable investing in, well, in Canada, you're not going to be comfortable investing if you've got a conscience, that is, because the Bank of, the new legislation in Canada is making everything sustainable. Once you hear that word, sustainable, people, think globalist, because there's nothing sustainable for you in sustainability. Because they changed the words, they changed language. You know, we don't need to change language. A homosexual could be a homosexual. He doesn't need to be a gay person. And I guess some places it's not allowed to say gay. A lesbian could be a lesbian. She's a female gay person. There's nothing wrong with those words. They are real words. English language is a beautiful language. It's got a lot of words. Who was it? Mr. Tolkien? Mr. Tolkien. Lord of the Rings. Oh my God. Amazingly. Mel Gibson is another one. I reached out to him many years ago during the Passion, when he was making the Passion, because I knew that was going to cause him a lot of problems. because it was about Jesus, and it was true. There's no way anybody, even an atheist, can't say that that didn't happen, because it did. There was too many people that were scholars and writers and what were they called? Scribes, excuse me. And it was the Jewish faith that had preserved history as much as it could through the first by word of mouth before they formed language. I mean, history is fascinating. That's where you go when you want to find God. Look at history, ancient history, hieroglyphs. Everybody believed in God. They just didn't realize there was only one. And he didn't just go by your whim. He wanted to make you a person that, like him. Isn't that marvelous? He gave us free will and an intellect that had the capability. But you had to earn that capability to learn what you know now. I wonder what you're going to know 100 years from now. Think about that. I mean, I remember it was Canadian. Oh, back in the day, before this CRTC, all the talented people went to Hollywood in Canada because that's where they could make money. So some genius globalist back in those days said, I know how to do this, because Hitler had such a wonderful success with his propaganda, use of propaganda. He managed to convince a lot of really good people that they were better than somebody else. And that somebody else was an enemy and not worth the air that they breathed. Well, that's happened again with front page news and the Star. Those of us who chose not to get vaccinated, Mr. Sunshine Baby, you were the one who read me that article, because I can't read the newspaper anymore. My eyes are bad. Bad. Dry as a bone, thanks to this disease process. So it hurts. Everything hurts to read. It hurts to focus, to try to focus through dry eyeballs. Have you ever done that? I don't know. It's not fun. It's not a lot of fun. But I try. Tried to type. I knew something was weird, too, when I was trying to type it, and I couldn't type anymore. Yes, I call it typing. I'm allowed. Because typing was fun. I loved the old typewriters. Those old standards. Do you remember those? Anybody out there know what those even look like anymore? You had to pound on those suckers like they were a sticky piano, I guess. Anyway, I think I'm done for today. Point is, it's Thursday. I started almost 2 weeks ago, trying to get my films from my local hospital transferred to Princess Margaret. And then I said, okay, well, let me take a look at all this, because look at that. My films go back, all the way back to 2007. And I noticed that in some of these x-rays, things were coming up that I wasn't told about. One of my doctors had me going for an MRI to monitor a couple of spots on my pancreas. I hope they're not cancer. I don't know if they are or they're not. They might be. I might need an MRI for that. I'm going to have to ask for it, I think, because I'm the only one who didn't know I've got this spot that was monitored and growing. It went from 4 millimeters to 7 millimeters when they were told to stop. But that kind of healthcare stops for people like me. And it stopped, I think it was 2015. And I had a doctor who said, no, that's not going to happen. And I knew he was going to say that because he saved my mother's life until made made it impossible to save her life, even for me. And I wasn't allowed to be there for her when she was dying. That's the truth. So, that's my husband calling. I begged him to contact Mr. Keith Wilson just a minute ago. He's in Calgary right now. He doesn't need to talk to Keith Wilson. He can talk to Keith Wilson's secretary. Say, here's what you need to see. I'm a person you can talk to that's been there, sort of. He doesn't have a fucking clue about anything that's been going on because he's an idiot. And he can be, I'm sorry, baby. You're not an idiot. I'm abusive too. I love you so much. You have no idea. I would like for you not to see that part. But you are an idiot. Because you believed that I was something I wasn't. You didn't believe me when I was telling you the truth. Because you couldn't believe it. You didn't want to believe it. Because it hurts to tell the truth when the person who you're telling the truth to doesn't want to see it. And I just couldn't take it anymore. All those years ago when I wanted to leave you. And it was so miserable. Because you were mean. And you were in love with other people. And I don't care what you say, it's true. And there's no woman on this planet that doesn't know the truth. There's a lot of women on this planet that wouldn't be able to forgive it, I suppose. That's true too, I do forgive it. I don't care. Because you're a good person, my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful husband. You are a good person. I just need to figure out who I can trust enough to become my power of attorney now. Because when I was trying to transfer my, I learned with my mom that it's dangerous giving people you love a power of attorney on your life. Because the people you love who say they love you think they're doing the right thing by killing you in a culture like Canada. And that's sad. And that's a hard burden to bear if you happen to be one of those people who allowed for the person you love more than anything to be killed by that medical professional that got into medicine hoping to save lives and not take them. Got into medicine hoping to improve the quality of life of the sick. That scientist who discovered amniocentesis, and he had a child who had Down syndrome. That's the reason why he did that job. And he discovered it. And at the same time, that test became available. I had a English teacher man who thought it was compassionate to murder his baby at full term if his wife's test, this is why I knew it was wrong, just so you know. In Canada, it was legal because Canada is always the first, right? It's always the first. Canada will always be the first to tell to do the evil that the globalists wants done. The problem was Canada and the United States were founded on Christian principles. I had a priest tell me that's not true. It is. Canada, particularly. Canada was the last safe place for a Catholic in the whole world. Okay, give us the indigenous people that will burn us alive and cut us to pieces. That's what they did to the Jesuits that first populated this country. They made the way for the indigenous people to accept people from these other worlds that dressed differently. And then what was it? The rich and the famous and the powerful. The rich so-called Christians. And yeah, some of them might have been Catholic. Unfortunately, by that point, King Henry, God bless him, he used to be a devout Catholic too, but Catholic Church didn't realize that Henry was God. And that's why he broke from the Catholic Church. Luther, he couldn't stop himself from sinning, I guess. I don't know what his issues were. But we all have our issues, right? And we're not Jesus. We're not supposed to be. We're supposed to try. Jesus was God. Lord, who's going to let that stuff happen to them? And then say, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Not very many people, I can tell you that. Jim Foley was one. Because he saw the pain and suffering that the people that were doing that to him went through. Caused that kind of hate. And only a researcher will know who Jim Foley is and his family that love him. And were destroyed because they were told to shut their mouths. Let him be murdered. Don't, whatever you do, bail him out. God forbid. We don't play with these people. Besides, Jim Foley's a reporter or journalist, a real one, who saw the devastation of what was happening in Syria, Lebanon, and all those places back then. So it's not surprising that the internet showed what happened to him. That's horrible. Anyway, so in order to get my films transferred, while I had Natalie, God bless you, Natalie. I don't know if you'll ever see this, or if you ever want to. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll be on a witness stand, telling, yeah, you were the one listening, as I was trying to get my films transferred to the Princess Margaret Hospital, only to discover I needed to appoint a power of attorney. Now, I know I can't just willy-nilly appoint a power of attorney, and everybody out there should know that. Do not do that. I tried to talk my best friend out of doing it, and she did. Now I can't bear to be around her because I'm scared they're going to kill her. The people that want what she had. You know what I told her? I said, well, if you're going to make him your power of attorney, darling, spend everything you've got. Spend it. Don't give it to them. Spend it on life preservation, because my mom is not going to have... My mom doesn't have anything to spend. She's got to be the first to go. I don't want you to be the first to go. Ed, that's true too. My dad's very sick now, and I love him. And he doesn't know the truth. And I tried to tell him truth. He used to rely on me to be his truth teller. Oh, God bless him. He's so funny. He had some pretty wild nights, and I loved them. It was like Cape Breton is a wonderful, wonderful party place for families. But unfortunately, a lot of drinking goes on, and when a lot of drink goes on, Dr. John Peterson, you know what happens. Bad things happen. And then the next morning, the people with the conscience would, oh my God, tell me what happened. Oh, please. And I remember that poor man. Oh my God, the suffering he went through when okay, well, Dad, you want to run down on what you did? Oh, oh, it was funny. Yes, people got hurt. Yes, things were said. But there's an old ancient about that people forgot. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but names will never hurt you. Names are just that, names. You know who's real good at casting off the horrible things that are said to him? Justin Trudeau. That's why he wants to change language. Let's see, words like you idiot. That's a censored out word now because he's heard it too much. Well, he's an idiot, so I'm sorry. I mean, what do you call a person that will do as they're told, no matter how much trouble he gets himself into by doing it? And he's a victim too, in many ways, I suspect, because his dad was Pierre, and he was, well, I don't know how it happened. I don't know. Was he one of the ones that was born on Christmas Day? I think Margaret. How did that happen by accident? Just out of curiosity. How did you make babies be born on Christmas Day? Is it because you wanted them to be a gift, your Christmas gift? I don't know. I don't get it. I wanted my babies to be born before they were due. I wanted them so bad. But I ended up having to wait for them to be born on their own because God bless those darling little babies. They were immature, unhealthy babies. And they needed as much time to develop in my womb as they could get. Well, I guess I was a poison mommy. But I had them and I was grateful for them. And, God saw to it that I got 2 more grandchildren that I could steal. And then I've now got a great-granddaughter that you got a glimpse of. Well, I guess that's it for today. I'm going to upload this into my Google Drive because this is Google's, Patreon's, Mikey O's, Dr. Jordan has to release it though. And Keith Wilson or my lawyer has to release it to the public sphere. And if there's any money that comes from whatever is used in, I hope, what's going to be copyrighted, if it's worth it. Maybe it's not worth anything. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm disgusting. Could you block that shit out or make this a podcast or whatever you guys can do with it? Love you. Goodbye. Okay. Oh. Don't really know what time it is. I'll ask my husband when, because I'm refusing to answer his phone call because he's in timeout right now. I've forgiven him already because I love him. But he knows that it was because I lost my mind with him because all I wanted him to do was talk to a secretary over there in Keith Wilson's office. Because I want him to go over what I've got. See if this can work for the greater, in a class action lawsuit that I want to start with, well, I think we're going to have to start with Doug Ford. But I think we might be able to make some headway with Doug Ford because his brother, the good man, the good one, the one who wasn't allowed to be mayor of Toronto. There's a mayor's race happening right now in Toronto, and an unlikely candidate But if you're true blue, and I want you to know, I watched you there. What is it, Lamont? I can't remember who it is that's got him on. True North knows who he is anyway. He's a mayoral candidate, and he's got my vote. If I were in Toronto, I would vote for him because, trust me, the people of Toronto who are middle class and want to live and want to raise their children and want to turn back time so that education can be what it's supposed to be instead of what Hitler, the education system that seems to be modeled after Hitler's education system. And I know I've had a lot of teachers in my family, a lot of nurses in my family. Come on, get together. You've got a union, start using it for the right reasons. Get rid of all the idiots and the crazy people that want to groom your babies, your students into becoming perverts. Anyway, because that's what the kind of people that dress up like women, that want access to children. You know, if you're a man and you dress up like a woman in the way you dress up like big booby guy, I don't know, but that's disgusting and perverse. And if you're after prepubescent boys because you like them young, you better not be. Because I think somebody should be investigating your library and whatever on your computers. Because that used to be against the law in Canada. Even though I know of a case, I've got first-hand knowledge of a case of a pedophile that raped a little baby boy. Raped him. I knew he was raping him. I was a witness. And there was a cross-Canada warrant for his arrest. I could prove that. I could prove it. And he had to do time. You know how much hard time he had to do? 3 months. At Edmonton remand. That's not jail. That's not prison. But he gave that poor little baby venereal warts. And he was polluted with them. He was polluted with them by the time he was 18 months old. And I knew whatever was happening to him probably started before he could walk or talk or do anything. And there are pigs out there that would do that to your babies. And now they're saying there are women out there that will do that to your babies. No. I don't know if that's why children are at risk in their elementary schools now and in their libraries now of being groomed by possible. I'm not saying these people are doing that. I hope that their minds are good and clear and they're just pretending to try to make a point. I hope and hope and hope. But the people who want sexual transition surgery don't dress up and parade like little girls if they're right in the head. And they need that because they truly do feel that they're in the wrong body. And that's an adult decision, not a child's decision. Come on, people. Live with it. It's true. It's facts. And eventually, mental health care will be allowed to say that's not right in Canada because your licenses will not be forfeit for saying that's not right. Because we've got to get the laws changed. And legal people know how to do that. I reached out to a professor of law Somebody in Kitchener. I don't know who he is. He's